Hey guys, this is Isaac again with Mystic Vape's Vapey Informational Videos. Today I'm going to show you how to do a basic micro coil build on your 3-post Addy and show you what a couple of the things you might need to do that. You always want to have an ohm reader on hand so you can read the resistance of your coil, make sure it's firing at the right ohm, preferably between 0.2 and 0.5. Nice set of wire snips, that way you can get clean cuts. Don't have any extra wires dangling around. Flathead or Phillips screwdriver, whatever's appropriate for your atomizer. A pair of ceramic tweezers is always nice, so that way you can pinch your coils without shorting them. Make sure they're heating real nicely from the inside out. And I like to use Japanese flat cotton. It works really well. You just cut it to the right length. There's not a lot of break-in flavor. It doesn't degrade. It's pretty good stuff. I'm actually going to use two 2mm gauge needles. Wrap these coils up really nice. They're flat tip, that way nobody gets poked. They work really well, make it simple. And of course we're going to use some 24 gauge Kanthal. I'm going to use about a 16-inch long piece. You don't really need that much, but you know, enough that way we've got a little room for forgiveness. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my cotton, or lay my wire along the edge of one of these guys, just like this, so I can get a nice firm grip on it. And then we're going to wrap it around after we make a nice little fold there. And we want to keep these as tight and as close as possible. We're going to do 8 wraps. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And you want to count the wraps on the back side, opposite of the 2 leads. So we'll have 8 wraps across right here. I know that's kind of small. There we go. Straighten that out and make sure everything's nice and tight. Bring your leads back out. There we go. We got one nice little coil. I'll do some close-ups here in a minute. So we're going to do duals today, so we're going to need to make another one exactly like this one. When you run dual coils, you want them both to have the same wraps and diameter so that they heat evenly. I'm going to set that little guy right there. Alright, same thing we did the last time, make sure it's flush against here. A nice little bend so we can get started smoothly. We'll begin our wraps and keep them tight and close. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Straighten these leads out. There we go. Alright, now we're going to trim that to size. So you can see I've got a lot of extra wire here. Sometimes you've got to do it 1 or 2 times to kind of get started. It may take you a little while at first, but you'll get the hang of it. As you see, these coils are the same size. Alright, now we're going to need our atomizer. I've got all my screws all the way open so I can get in there and fit real nicely. Make sure everything's clean. Now, sometimes it's nice to have the 2 things that you wrap your coils on so you can help center them and position them on your atomizer. Let's bring it in a little closer. There we go. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place these 2 wires, one in the outside post. You're going to have 3 posts on a 3-post atomizer. The outer two are going to be the negative. The center one's going to be the positive. So we're going to need to put the lead of the coil, one in the outside and one in the center. The copper one is the positive, the silver are the negative. So once we get that coil positioned in there where we want it, you can see I've got it I'm going to have it placed far enough from the edge that it doesn't make contact with the outer veil, and it's far enough from the post that we'll be able to move it a little bit. So this is going to be a dual build, so since we do that, right now we're only going to tighten up this outside lead right here. Make sure that's good and snug. You don't want to make it too tight though. You don't want to cut your wire. Once we have a nice amount of lead in there, kind of push it over a little bit. Get it centered. Kind of pull it up a little bit. We can get that just about right where we want it. We'll be able to move it a little bit more once we tighten down the center post. Alright, so go ahead and pull this guy out of here, or we can leave it. It's all in preference. Sometimes it's easier to leave right there. We're going to trim off these extra leads on the negative. Since we already have our other one positioned, we haven't tightened it down yet, we're going to cut the lead off the positive also, so it doesn't poke the other coil, creating a short. So there's one of our two coils. Alright, now we're going to take our other wire and do the same thing. Let's check about how much wire you needed on here originally to make the first one connect, and trim the inside one on this coil about the same length so that you don't have to trim it behind this coil. So we're going to say right about here. Go ahead and put the lead one through the outer, remember, negative side, and one into the positive. Get a nice distance on there so you have enough room to kind of move it around for this camera to focus. See? Go ahead and tighten up this outer one. Alright. Now that we've got these guys both positioned, we're going to hold them apart. The same distance from the center post. That also helps keep them heating evenly. We're going to tighten down that center post. There we go. Now we're going to go ahead and clean up these extra leads off of here. Now you see on here, we're going to pull these wires out just a little bit. Just a little bit of tension on there to make sure they're good and tight. And pull them to where we need them to be. Go ahead and pull these out. Now if you look at here, they're just about the same distance from the center post. They're going to be at about the same height on the deck also. See how they're still nice and tight? Now we're going to have to pinch them once we put in our battery to make sure they're heating evenly. Let's go ahead and do that. This is where those ceramic tweezers really come in handy, so that we can pulse them to make sure they're heating correctly without shorting out the wire. You guys want to be very careful while you're doing this. These wires can get really hot. See, they're not heating very evenly. We need to make sure they're heating from the center out. See, nice heating, even heating. Now we're going to throw it on the ohm reader to check the resistance. I always recommend doing that before you test fire your atomizer to make sure it's safe. I've done this quite a few times, so I know about what these coils are going to read out to be. It doesn't ever hurt to check. Safety first, guys. Especially if you're a new user. I definitely recommend having an ohm reader on hand that you can screw your addy right down onto. Check the resistance of your coils. 0.29. So we're doing good. Right at 0.29. We'd probably run this anywhere from 25 to 50 watts. Now let's pull the cotton through. Now when I like to pull my cotton, I like to cut it just a little bit wider than the coil. You don't want to make it too thick or juice isn't going to flow through there well, but you also don't want to make it too thin so that it collapses just right. So I'm just gonna put this through here, pull it, I'm gonna fluff it up a little bit. Do the same thing with the other side. Put it through there, pull it through, kind of fluff it back up. I'm gonna trim my cotton. Say leave about a ½ inch off either side so it can reach the bottom of the deck on the atomizer. I'm gonna use these little needles, kind of flip the cotton around, stuff it down in there. There we go. Alright. Now that we've got our cotton pulled, it's time to juice it up and see how it vapes. Make sure my terminals are tight. This is a mechanical bobbin, by the way. We do carry these here in the store. You want to have a little bit more background knowledge of battery safety and Ohm's law before using one, though. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Alright, now we're going to make sure we fully saturate our cotton. We get it soaked in there and we don't get a dry burn. That smells good. Let's see how she fires. Chucking pretty good vapor. See how she vapes. Delicious. And there's a basic micro coil build. Thanks for watching, guys.